at the end of the day, that's the face of the business. You could have your star employee, the best of the best employees in the back that could fix anything, but if the front office staff doesn't convey that to the customers, doesn't do a good job of getting information from the customer to your employees, all of the above.
I encourage people to be involved because I think that the local municipalities have more impact on our daily lives than the federal government does, and yet they call these election years in 2025 off years, which that's the wrong frame of mind. Hello there, I'm Brad Herlock, the host of the Garage Grid podcast and co-owner of AA Shop Marketing, a digital marketing company for auto repair shops. And here on the Garage Grid podcast, we are talking to business owners, shop owners specifically, about shop stuff, about shop things that are happening at the shop. And I got to tell you, if you are trying to grow your shop, if you are trying to improve your shop, this is the good podcast. This is the right podcast for you to be in. This is another good episode for you to be listening in on. And I've got faith with that because I've had conversations with Josiah previously. And so check it out, listen to it. But if you are not that kind of person, if you're just trying to have green dollars in your back pocket and, hey, that must be good enough, and I don't really even like customers, and you're not trying to actually grow your shop, then, maybe this isn't the right podcast for you. Maybe another one is. But don't miss out. Make sure that you subscribe and like all of these podcasts on this channel. And if you stumbled across it, don't take that chance on the next one, because we are sharing these origin stories and these impact stories regularly. We're also still doing the monthly panels. So subscribe and like, whether you're on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure that you are following in so that you don't miss another one of these great episodes. And today I'm happy to bring you Josiah Martin of Limitless Auto out of Ole, Pennsylvania. And he is no stranger to podcasts. You've been on Changing the Industry podcast, I believe, right? So Josiah, thank you for coming on.
You're welcome. Hey, it's great to be on here. Great to be back for a second podcast. This is it's always interesting to talk.
And that's right. You were on a panel when was it over earlier this year? I want to say it was it the spring or summer?
Can't remember exactly. I think it was spring.
Okay. And what did we talk about? It was about coaches, whether or not your shop needed a coach. And the answer is, the answer is you're going to have to go listen to that podcast and check it out for yourself. There were 3 similar but slightly different answers, right? Because if you remember, Mike had a different perspective. You're actively being coached, and Mike was not. And so go listen to that podcast, check it out. It was a shop owners panel on SOP back in earlier part of 2025. And maybe I'll put the episode notes in the maybe I haven't had enough caffeine, because normally I can remember the episode numbers, but I don't have that with me on my fingertips. Anyway, but thank you for that one, and thank you for coming back for this origin story. Josiah, how did you get here? How did you get interested in the industry at all?
Yeah, so it is actually probably pretty odd that I am interested, because most people you hear their dad did it, their grandpa did it, and I don't have that story. My dad was a school teacher for quite a few years, and he's now working at a tractor shop, tractor dealership, which I guess would be mechanical, but that's after I was already started in this side. And so early on, I really entered, like, young childhood. I got used to tearing stuff apart. My brother got it into small engines, so he actually brought a few small engines home for me to tinker with, and that kind of started it off. And yeah, I think off camera I'd said I tore my brother's remote control part that he got for his birthday. I was probably 6 or 7 at the time, and I think it was birthday or Christmas. I don't remember. Tore the remote control part and could not get it back together where it steered properly. And he left me know never to touch his toys again. But thankfully, I've learned since then, and I can put cars back together, right? But yeah.
Good to know. Good to know. Yep. Your technician at Limitless is not 6. You are all set. All right. So, what was your first job? What was your first professional experience?
So I was looking for a job, and there was teenage years. Yep. I was 16. I graduated high school early, and through I took a homeschool course to graduate early, and I was uh, going to looking for a job. My dad stopped at a starter and alternator shop. They were looking to hire, and that was that. I got into rebuilding starters mainly and learned electrical, automotive electrical. And several years in, I was getting tired of just doing the same repetitious work every day. And my sister was dating, actually may have been married to a mechanic. I don't even remember if they were married at that point, and said, "Hey, we're looking to hire here. We need somebody." So applied and got
Lo and
did
behold.
a did a little interview with Merv. I was very nervous, but yeah, I got hired there, and yeah,
Okay,
uh,
so I've got a couple questions. Your dad is a school teacher
yes.
at the local public school district?
So I grew up Mennonite, so it was a private school
It was a
through the
private school. All right,
Mennonite.
so private school, but you were still homeschooled.
No, so I homeschooled for high school. We went through
Got it.
that the private school went through ninth grade, and then to finish out,
Okay.
I took a homeschool course.
Okay. So my mind was processing that, right? And so like my wife is not a big fan of the homeschool idea. I think it's great. I think it's a good thing. I think half of the problems that my son has are related to wait,
So,
sorry, but they're related to school in some way, right?
amen.
Let's shove 75 kids on a yellow box on wheels and for an hour and see whether or not there's any trouble.
Cool.
Like, come
I
on.
think I think most people in the automotive industry learn by doing, learn by hands on, and it's really hard to get that through a lot of the school that you have today when they're shoving you behind a desk and they're telling you to do books. So I'm
I
not
mean,
I'm not
where it's
saying
a
it.
homeschooling environment, there is book work, but there's also a lot of, all right, now it's time for earth and science. Get out there and get your hands dirty, and let's actually talk about what the type of dirt that we have here in Pennsylvania versus the type of dirt that they might have. And then, yes, maybe it makes vacations a little less fun and more educationally minded because you've got to compare that dirt, right? I mean, that's just one example, but I mean, that's the kind of the mindset of the homeschooler. And but it takes a lot of commitment and time. You can't just kind of like go, here's a book, good luck, especially in their when they're 8.
Yeah, yeah. The high school, I could by that point I did it all on my own,
That's
just
right. You were.
pace myself, and
Hmm.
I mean I did well in school, so it wasn't that hard for me uh to well, it was a little hard for me to keep on track because I realize now I have ADHD, and it was not diagnosed until I was in my adult years.
Okay.
It's and but yeah, I made do. I got through it.
The number of business owners that actually have ADHD is significant. It's or ADD, and some that are on that scale
Yeah,
somewhere, and
I
it's not
technically would be
uncommon.
ADD, not ADHD, but they call everything ADHD nowadays. So
They do, don't they? Yeah. So, all right. So back to your experience. That first job, you were there for about 3 years.
correct,
Is that
three
from my
years.
memory, or did you actually say that on this?
I think I said that off camera. So, but yes,
Okay.
3 years at the rebuilding starters. I got tired of it, and then I was about 7 years at the other shop, at the mechanic shop. Some as a mechanic, some behind the desk.
And and you were mentioning about the real time training. That was actually on the job training as well. You had a kind of a mentor there at that shop trying to just kind of
The
oversee.
owner,
No, do it this way.
the owner came and for the first few months really stood behind me and showed me how. And then even, I mean, I'm talking for as long as I worked there. You had a question, you went and asked whoever, and all built around training, like keep building everybody up. Uh, I went to many training classes. They paid for us to go through training, pay for our time, um, and learn stuff there. So it was kind of a mixture of on the job and mentor and classroom time.
Yeah. Now it's not just you at Limitless, right? It's I mean, I'm not talking about the employees. It's a partnership with somebody
Yes.
else.
Yep. It's me and Merv.
And how did you come across him?
That started. Well, we technically knew each other in childhood, but teenage years we really started hanging out with the same group of friends,
Yeah.
and from there on out, yeah.
Okay. All right. And so how did it come about that this particular shop?
Yeah,
Did you start it here? Do you built it here, or was it already an existing shop that you purchased?
we purchased an existing shop. right in 2020, believe it or not.
Oh,
So
just at the early part of COVID, or the
just
before COVID, or
we signed papers as they were saying, "Hey, there's this disease called COVID-19 and happening in China," and I then maybe it had hit the cruise ship at that point. I don't remember, but it was like, you know, they they make all these things up, and it's
right,
probably not going to be a big.
right,
Was that
right. And then within 2 weeks of you starting the shop, it was a
well?
2 week to slow the spread that lasted years.
So we signed the agreement to buy the shop, but we actually bought the shop in the second week of 2 weeks to slow the curve.
Okay. Okay. Nice.
So Brunel had actually found this shop. We were both looking for something other than what we were currently doing, and he found the shop. It was close to his uncle's place. His uncle told him about it, and we looked at it. It was a great location. Managed to get some private funding, make all that happen because we were both 25 at the time. Didn't have the funds to fund it all on our own, and yeah, made it happen. And as we went to sign papers, we had to sign the title work in the parking lot of the title building because they weren't allowing people inside the building. And I was thinking, like, what did I just do? What do we're buying this building, the whole business, the whole sector shut down. Like, what's going on?
Right.
Yeah, and
Yeah. It's only
it,
two
it
weeks. You'll be fine.
yeah, that was my mindset. It was only 2 weeks, and then so obviously you're starting an inspection station here in PA. You have to get set up. Well, that office was shut down, and started talking to like, well, what do we do? Because we have state inspections scheduled. And so we started at that moment, they had put a moratorium on inspections. You didn't have to have your vehicle inspected until at the point, I think it was April. And then they kept pushing it till finally, I think you didn't have to, like by the end of July, you had to have them inspected. It's when they finally brought it back on board. We sold the people inspections. We said, hey, we can't technically do them right now, but when we get our license, we're going to bring your vehicle back in and we're going to do a free reinspection of it and get you back on the road that way. And so we were working from when we finally got our license, we were working from like 6 in the morning till like 10 at night, just trying to get cars through our shop because we had so many cars that we had to get inspected again.
All right. So I want to ask about that. And there's actually there's a handful of questions there. But first let's talk about the influx of new cars. Did you keep the shop name? And so how did you communicate with people that I'm guessing that it was still the old customer base and that's why you were so busy.
Yeah.
So what did that communication look like?
So the previous owner stayed on board. He helped us transition over. He actually stayed on board then for uh, almost 4 years before he said, "All right, he needs to retire." Uh, and well, it's one of the previous. It was brothers. We bought the shop from two brothers. One brother went and got a full time job. The other brother stayed, and that really helped because he was. It was still the same shop. It's just to he really vouched for us, saying, "Hey,
Did he? That's great. So was he front desk or was he, because he was trying to interface with customers and give them a peace of mind, or was he back there with you?
he was back there." But at the time, this is a small town, old time shop, and people walk right out to the shop most of the time.
Okay.
So they didn't have a front office staff. It was just the two brothers,
Okay.
and so people were used to just coming out and chatting. And so yeah, he would come into the office when customers came in and talk and chat with them too.
Sure. Okay. Got it. So that was key to keeping that customer base kind of comfortable with the new people, and like you said, he really vouched for you. Um, I find that really interesting because that was good hearted of him because I don't like I don't know what the interview process. It was probably like you had the funding, so I'm going to sell to you, as
Yeah,
opposed to these are good people and they're going to do a good job.
they had a few people offer, but it was never anybody that was looking to keep the garage here. And so this particular building has been here since the 50s. It was a gas station for a while. His dad bought it in the 60s. So they owned it. It's been in the family from the 60s until we bought it in 2020. So it was like it's family history for him. It's family. It's the family legacy, and so he wanted it to go to somebody that would keep the garage running. In fact, we we signed a paper. They initially said we're taking the tools. We made them an offer to keep the tools here. So they just pretty much turnkey, lock, stock, and barrel, sold the shop to us.
Okay. Okay. So real quick, I hopped out to uh, Google Earth to jog my memory. It's not like a Wawa came across. There is a gas station across the street from you. I'm just wondering why they stopped selling gas, right? That was pre you. That decision was made before you got there. But in our area, by the way, so I don't you guys heard me say the Wawa name. If you're not from the Northeast or the Mid Atlantic area, you might not know the name Wawa. It's a convenience store that basically has dominated the local market when it comes to gas and convenience stores. And so there's a gas and go across the street.
It is, yeah, it does Weiss Gas and Go across the street.
Okay, grocery store gas station. Okay.
Yep. And that was it was there. It was another name. I'm not sure what it was. Anyway, they started being able to sell gas at a cut rate price because they wanted people to come in the store. And that kind of came across the whole industry as those gas stations were coming out and about. The minute marts were coming in. The margins for gas services, gas sales really dropped. And they started to say, look, our tanks are getting old. We're going to have to replace the tanks. The market's not here for it to, the money's no longer in it. We're primarily fixing cars anyway. Why are we bothering with
that was their premise. Yep, I got it. That makes sense. All right. So the old owner stuck around for 4 years on payroll as you were, adjusting, getting the shop up and going, and the shop is only 5 years old, so it's been a year since. And I've already spilled the beans that you were pro coach and you have a coach. When did you start coaching with 1-800? Is it
180 Biz?
180 Biz.
Rick White. So we started coaching in November 23. So it's all but 2 years now.
Okay, so my follow-up question right there is, what was the old owner's? Did he give you any kind of? He never had a coach, did he?
No.
And so I'm like, what are these kids doing? Like, was there any of that?
Yeah. So that is part of what made him decide to retire, because we started changing. That's a multifaceted statement. Yes, we started changing. We started doing our DVI's 300% roll. 100% of the cars get inspected, 100% of the work found gets estimated, 100% of the estimates get given to the customer. And we did not do a great job of educating our current client base on what that is and why we're doing it, because we do it to. I want to do an inspection on your car, not to sell you stuff. I want to do that inspection so I can tell you, hey, your car this is a healthier car. This is what you're looking at investing in this car if you want to keep it on the road and keep driving it. And we've all had those cars where it comes in, the customer's like, oh, it's leaking water. So you replace the water pump, get it back on the road. 2 months later, it comes in and you're like, the frame's rusted out. We shouldn't have even put a water pump on this. And too often, that side of it, I said, hey, I don't want the liability. 1, 2, I don't want to fix your car if it's not going to be worth that investment. So let me show you what your car is. But we didn't do a good job of telling our clients that at the moment.
Yeah. No, cars. Some people, for cars are a luxury, but for the most part, it's a rapidly depreciating asset. And how do we manage that asset while it is rapidly depreciating? We still need to transport our kids, our families, and whatnot. So I like that approach. And I I've been driving a Jeep Grand Cherokee for decades, and my attitude pre-family was I would just get a cheap one for cash and drive it till it stopped working and throw it out. The family mantra kind of changed that for me, and I started to get a little bit of a newer one and a newer one, and still somewhat high mileage because I recognize that a car is a rapidly declining asset, right? Depreciating asset. So I recently left my mechanic that I was using for years. It, they've gone through a handful of different staff members through in the front, and the one that they have now, she's not very pleasant. Like, yeah, she says Mr. Herlock, but I don't like chatting with her. I'd rather not call up to schedule an appointment. And so it was just kind of like that. But then I brought in for an inspection, and the backstory of this is 2 years ago, I let them know that I was hearing a little bit of tap in the engine. And they told me, don't worry about it. It's just going to go. It's a Jeep. This happens. It's going to get louder, and eventually I'll have to replace it. I said, okay, what kind of time frame? Well, it could be 6 months. It could be 3 years. Just keep going. And, that was the end of that statement. And then I brought it into an inspection. I didn't think the tap was much louder, but I guess it had been, because after the initial inspection, they said they needed to take it apart. They needed to do a little bit deeper dive. They took it apart, and they told me that all the camshafts needed to be replaced. So we went from a $200 type inspection bill to a $2,000 investigation to a $14,000 replace or $9,000 repair. And I'm just like, whoa. And I'm thinking back to the first staff person that they had, who, when she was there, I was kind of early on when I was using that particular shop, and she actually came from behind the counter. Instead of just sitting there, type, here's your bill, right? Thank you, Mr. Herlock. Your card, please, right? She actually came around the front of the counter and then sat down next to me and walked me through each of the things that was going on with my Jeep at that time. And I remember thinking, am I in a doctor's office or am I in a repair shop, right? And I kind of like that. I kind of appreciated that kind of care or presentation. And obviously that didn't happen here. And so, it was kind of like a shock. I don't know. That kind of goes back to what you were saying about the inspection. Sorry, I took up all that to tell that story.
No, and that goes into, like, there's two sides of that I feel is worth talking about, especially. So I'm just going to start with the customer service side of it. I don't think this industry focuses enough on their front office staff and the presentation that the front office staff gives to the customer. At the end of the day, that's the face of the business. You could have your star employee, the best of the best employees in the back that could fix anything, but if the front office staff doesn't convey that to the customers, doesn't do a good job of getting information from the customer to your employees, all of the above, you're going to suffer. It's not going to be as great as it could be. And we really are, as people know less and less about cars, because cars are becoming more and more hard to understand, complex. Yes, there we go. And it's important for the person that is showing the customer, hey, this is the work, for them to take the time to explain it, to help them educate that client that this is what we're recommending to do, and this is why it's important to you and your goals and where you're headed to do this. I actually, so that goes back to, I believe the client experience starts with the first phone call, with the first visit. We have to understand what that car is to you. Is this your beater that you're trying to drive? You need it to get you to work and back. And if it breaks down, you got two thumbs and good sneakers, and it doesn't matter. Because
by the way, just for a point of a record for that story that I was sharing, when I had that attitude about my Jeeps, I didn't even live in the same area. I did not have that same mechanic. And so this mechanic has always, it's not like I did a 180 degree turn on my attitude towards the vehicle, because I was transporting kids, or my, actually not plural, singular, and family, at the moment that I started to use that particular mechanic. So that's a good point. Like, no, like, did we have enough of a conversation that said, okay, what are your goals with this vehicle? And maybe it was mentioned at one point, but I don't know that the current front desk person will
That,
be able to even look that up.
I doubt it, and it's not something that gets talked about enough. Is too often we assume we're the professionals. We tell you what you need, but how do we know what you truly need unless we know what that car is to you? Because I'm going to recommend, like you said, if you said, "Hey, this vehicle is my family. I drive my family in it. I'm going to come to you and say, "Hey, this is what it needs to be reliable and safe and efficient." And these are all the recommendations. If you said, "Look, I just want to get back and forth to work. I don't really care if it breaks down on me." I'm going to change how I present that to you. I'm going to still show you everything, but I might not. I might say, "Hey, here's the maintenance we'd recommend. I understand that might not be important to you right now. I'm at least going to tell you about it in case your usage of the vehicle or your mentality of the vehicle changes." But if you came to me and said, "Hey, this vehicle is my daily driver," and I'm saying, "Hey, you should be thinking about putting brakes on," you're like, "Nah." I'm going to say something doesn't jive here because Brad, you told me you want to keep your family safe, but you're not doing the work to keep your family safe. You know, and not in a confrontational type of way, just a way to say, "Look, are you aware of what this is?" Because at some point, I have to start thinking if I didn't do a good job of telling you what that repair is, maybe you don't understand why it meets your goal.
Right. Right. That's a good point. And so in my story, you would have recommended what earlier, or the moment that I said
Yes.
it was.
So that's the second side of it. I feel like they didn't do a great job of explaining that repair to you. I don't know if it was just their understanding of the vehicle at the moment, if why. Personally, I would have when you first said, "Hey, it's tapping," I would say, "Yes, this is a relatively common issue. Why not spend time now? Let's tear it down, see the damage, and hopefully we can replace smaller parts." Because oftentimes when that ticking starts, if you catch it early, you can replace the rollers and lifters and get them. You don't have to tear everything apart and replace the cams and all of that. And it's still an expensive job, but it's not as expensive of a job.
Yeah, spend a little bit more now so you can avoid
A,
complete
a
replacement.
stitch in time saves nine,
Mhm.
and the that there's multiple reasons why they may not have done that. At a point, there was a point in my time where I would have been scared to tell you, "Hey, you should spend $2,000 now," even though your vehicle is technically running and driving okay, just ticking. It would have been hard for me to. But in that same aspect, it comes back to them not understanding what that vehicle is. Because if you
Yeah.
told them, "Hey, I plan on driving this. I'd love to drive this for another 5 years." Well, hold up. This is what we need to do to hopefully get you there.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, now that I've got a replacement, I'm hoping to drive this one for the next 15 years. So,
Amen.
we'll see if I can get it to stretch that long. Maybe I'll get lucky at 9. I don't know. But, anyway, okay. So the old owner, said, "What are you guys doing? You're bringing in this coach. You're now doing inspections on everything." What was that pushback like? What
So
was the dynamic in the shop?
he he was okay with that, the inspections part of it. It was the fact that again, we didn't do a great job of educating our customers. And so we alienated a good amount of our his customers is how I'm going to put it. The customers that had came over from them, they were great clients for him. They weren't necessarily great clients for where we were headed. All of them, some of them probably would have been if we did a better job of educating them. And because he was the face of the business for so long, rather than coming and complaining to me or Brunel, they went and found him when he was out in public and started complaining to him. And it got to the point where he said, I don't even want to come into work because I see you doing stuff that was different. I would never have done it that way. So when a client comes to me and starts complaining about it, I don't feel good defending it because it's not how I would have done it. I'm not saying he didn't necessarily say we were doing it wrong. There was like recommending all the maintenance, all of that. would not have been his style. And so it got to the point where he said, one, he was just ready to retire. Two, it's just time to move on. And we parted ways amicably. It wasn't a it wasn't a burn the bridges as you leave type of thing. It was just a sign that we
It's
was
time. It's time. All right. Well, good. I'm glad it was amicable. And when you're doing it's been 2 years that you've been doing the coaching with 180 Biz. And is Rick White your coach or is someone else?
so yes and no. It's I kind of work with all there's three main ones right now. It's Rick, then he has Eric Bach and Jeff Ford. Uh,
Okay.
I work with all three. Technically, Eric would be Eric is the one that is looking at my daily numbers. He's the one that is looking at my shop.
Okay.
And then I will still jump in. Like there's coaching sessions where I jump in and I'm with the other tech or other
Got it.
coaches.
Jeff or Rick. Got
Jeff
it.
or Rick. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So, now is Brunel also in those coaching meetings or is it just you?
It is just me. He did start going to them, and we have kind of, as the business has developed, I have gotten into the business side of it. He has stayed in the technician role. He is in a glorified shop foreman. It is what I would class his role right now. So he still does the technician, still does foreman, and then he's also like we have regular meetings. We talk about what the business headed. It's just he's not taking the time to go through the coaching calls to get invested there. He just relies on me to relay all those.
Well, and so that's interesting. One of the rules supposedly in business is that you don't bring your friends or your family into the business. And I've also violated that rule. My business partner at AA Shop Marketing is someone who I met when I was 1 year old. And so like we've known each other for a little bit now. Right. So, so anyway, yeah. And he's also family. And so I broke that twice. So I get it. And there are times when, while we disagree from time to time on different things, we also know that we're operating on the best interest of the company. And he does certain things that I have no business doing. He's actually the marketing genius with all these things. And my role is more about interacting with people. And that's not one like I remember early on, he took bad news he took good news to a customer, and then the customer called me all pissed off. I'm like, I love him. I love him to death. He's not my brother, but like my brother, right? And so but at the same time, I'm like, you need to be able to take bad news to a customer, and then have them feel like, all right, well, I'm glad you have my back, as opposed to the other way around. And so, that's part of it. Like it's, for us, it's all about making sure that we're being transparent. Here's what's happening. Here's what's going on. And here's what we think we should do about it. And I imagine that's a similar conversation that you're teaching. Now, do you have a dedicated front staff person now? And when did you hire that person?
Yes, we do. We actually have two front staff.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember exactly when it was. 3 years ago, I think it was. We were contemplating of opening a second location, and praise the Lord, it didn't go through. I was not ready. I thought I was, but I wasn't ready. So we had brought in. We thought we had somebody hired for the front office. We brought in my niece to do a temporary on board while we go, like just extra person to answer the phone, basically. That deal fell through, but I realized, wow, this is really nice having somebody, and I started training her, how to do more stuff. Like it's really nice having somebody on the front counter so I can focus on other stuff. And the potential hire was still saying, "Hey, he was working as a detective in the local police force. And he said, I'm on a case that I don't know when it's going to stop. It's a large case. I don't feel right jumping out in the middle of the case. And so my niece was from Nevada. She was like, hey, I got to go back home. So I brought in my sister-in-law. Again, family. And and for a while there, I hadn't, like, my mistake was not training her soon enough, or enough soon enough, and brought her on board. She's kept learning more and more, and finally it kept pushing the date when we were going to hire on the potential hire kept getting pushed out. So got her into training, and things really took off. Got to the point where he's like, "All right, I'm ready," and I realized it'd be nice to have two people here. So we just hired on a second person, and he ended up staying here for about a year. We replaced him here this beginning of this year with Nikki, and so it's Nikki and Brianna in our front office.
Interesting. Okay. All right. So I'm sorry, Nikki and Brianna, and uh, the sister-in-law is still working there, or no? Brianna. Okay, got it. And so, um, I don't know, like you don't have. We didn't really talk about this, but you've got a 4-bay shop there and 2 front office. I think there are some people who are thinking that sounds about right, and your other shops are like, wow, that seems heavy on the front office side of things. But if you are taking the time to actually hold the hand of your customer, it's worth every penny.
So absolutely, and the math. Here's how the math works out. The average ticket from first phone call to here's your keys takes about an hour of time for the front office. If you are taking the time, you are having the conversations, you are building a good estimate, you're presenting it well, it takes about an hour. So if you have, we have, I'm going to say 3.5 times because of how it works out. So depending how your car count on that, for us, it's about three to 4 cars a day per person. So that's between, say, 10 to 12 cars a day. Let's just call it 10 to 12 cars a day. Getting close to pretty much averaging 12 cars a day. That would be 12 hours of time that my advisor, just obviously one advisor, would not have. And that's those 12 that 12 hours is not any secretarial work. It's not taking customers home. It's not um, you know, anything else than working on the tickets.
Your service advisors are the ones that are doing the transportation for ride shares and those types of things?
Occasionally, I
Okay.
do it more and more. Uh,
Yeah.
just because as we continue to,
Well, you're probably a better driver.
um, I'm a better.
Sorry.
No, I'm not going to go there. I would say I'm a better advocate for my business at the moment, and that's I like to give customers rides because
Okay.
I get one-on-one time with a customer, and
Yes.
they're trapped in the car with me unless they want to jump out.
Right.
I can no, that sounds bad. I don't trap my
Yeah, but
customer in the car, but I have alone time with them to just talk about, and it's not necessarily selling the business. It's just being real with them because at the end of the day, customers do business with people they know, like, and trust. And how are they going to know, like, and trust you unless you give them time to see who you are? Actually, going back to just real quick, if I may input one thing you said about partnership. And early on, I had somebody come up to me and he said, "So why'd you marry him?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "In a business partnership, you do everything except
Your work wife.
sex." It's like, but it's 2021 anyway. Yeah, you do you. But he's like, "You do everything except sex. So why do you marry him? You have to talk about money. You have to be very good at communicating. You have to be willing to sacrifice for each other. You have to, you have to focus on your joint goal, not individual goals." And that mindset, as I thought about it, has helped a lot because we went back to the drawing board. We sat down, we set up. Actually, quick caveat: I remember the other podcast. I was on. If you know Dave Ramsey, I called into entrepreneur. The one for business leadership. I can't, and his advice at the time was, that's where I got the advice of how to exactly set up our agreement. So if Burnell and I ever fight, we have the ground rules set up at a time when we are happy and amicable and have each other's best interests in mind. So we went back, set up all the ground rules, and have that in place. Because
Nice.
partnerships can be ugly. They can end very ugly if you're not
Yeah.
careful.
Yep. Yep. And it's like you said, you have to kind of remember that happy moment, right? That beginning spot where you had the interest of each other as well as the company in mind, right? And
Correct.
so, because you're going to get distracted by outside forces, and you need to stay on it. And so, yeah, there are some parallels. There are some significant, real parallels between. Now, did Ramsey actually refer to it as a?
No, that was somebody else I referred to
Okay.
that one.
All right.
But
So,
then Ramsey was the one that gave us the goals to set it up properly.
nice. Okay. So all right. So you got to do a call in with the Ramsey show. You were on the Changing the Industry podcast, and that wasn't a call, and that was actually a feature.
Yeah.
How did you get roped into that one?
So that one.
That's probably the wrong word, but go ahead.
Actually, it kind of was. So I was listening to that. The Changing the Industry podcast actually played a big role into my development, because I happened to find it, started listening, and realizing there's a lot of better ways to do things than what we're currently doing them. They brought on, if people aren't aware of it, it's a great podcast. Go check it out. But listen to this one first. But then when you're done, go listen to that one.
If you're multitasking as opposed to sitting down and listening, you can listen to both.
Yeah,
it's fine.
That's fine.
Go ahead.
So I started changing. That's what made me realize there's a lot to do, a lot to change, and that we could be better. And so tools of 2024, I was walking around and they were there recording their podcasts. And I saw they were in between sessions, walked in, said, "Hey," just introduced myself, said, "Thank you guys for, doing the podcast. I really appreciate it. It's David and Lucas." And they said, we still need a shop owner for one of our podcast sessions. Do you want to jump on at, I forget what time it was. I was like, sure. So yeah,
Great.
Came back and jumped on the show and did a podcast with him.
Nice. What do you guys talk about?
Everything. I can't even remember what all.
It's been a year or two.
It's been a year or two, and it's been all over the place. And I should go back and listen to it again, just because.
Okay.
It'd be
all right. So we're all going to do that now. That's going to be the homework assignment between now and the next Garage Grid episode, is to go check out the episode with Josiah from the Changing the Industry podcast. All right. So that'll be. We'll make sure to have that happen. All right. So I'm wondering if there are times when in a marriage or in a business partnership that it's helpful to have the same inputs, so that you're not being steered, you're not being directed different directions, right? You're not being pulled different ways. And you said your business partner is not in on the coaching stuff. You're just doing the relay of it. Have you ever had a moment where he's like, "What are you talking about? No, we should not do that," and you had to take an extra moment to say, "Here's why"? Because, and had you been a part of the coaching meeting, you would already know this. But I'm fine. Go ahead.
Yes, and actually, I would say anybody out there that is getting new ideas and coming back to implement them in your shop, take the time to sell your team on why it's a great idea in your own words.
First, your business partner, if you have one.
First, your business partner, and then your team. I did too many changes too fast without always selling my team on why I was doing this. So they didn't always see the benefit to it. It was just, at the time I would say, "Oh, Rick says to do it this way." Well, who's Rick? Why is he telling us what to do when he doesn't even work here? And this doesn't make sense. This is stupid. Is kind of the feel that started happening. And I realized, I went back, slowed down. I said, "No, this is what it is. This is why we're doing this. This is what the difference this makes." And it has changed a lot. And sure.
Now, has Rick helped you with like training you and coaching you on how to sell it?
Absolutely.
Okay, good.
Absolutely. Good. Yeah.
Okay. Have you thought about just setting up like a fake desk for Rick somewhere in the shop, or Eric actually at this point, right? Just
Yeah.
put it like a little name tag. This is where Eric sits, and he's watching all the time. Just like have a
I,
camera that's not
I
really
was,
plugged in,
I was
but
gonna say
pretending to be plugged in and
put,
rotating.
put a little camera on the wall and have a name tag Eric hanging off of it.
That's it. That's it. Whether or not the camera is on, as long as it actually pivots regularly through the shop.
Yep.
Um,
I might have to do
Take
that.
that RC that you took apart that doesn't actually steer anymore, because it doesn't need to be consistent. Take it and
That
put
works.
that motor in there.
Yeah.
That'll work just fine. Yeah, I like that. Just name the camera Eric, and
Yeah.
and he saw what you did, and this is why we're doing it this way now.
Yeah. Yep. And well, as far as Brunel, so there, Rick does a twice a year. The whole group does what he calls a live event, Rick Live. Right, Rick's Inner Circle. It's RIC, but it's a nice play on words because his name's Rick. Rick Live, where we meet together and have a time to meet other owners in person, and then there's training. There's other stuff that happens. Brunel has gone to 2 of them, and that has also really helped because you start meeting. He starts hearing the same thing from other people and not just me.
Right.
And
Right.
why they do it and what their stories and why he needs
Yep.
stuff.
Yep. So what inspired you to think about buying another shop, and why are you thankful that it didn't pan out?
So what inspired me was we're a 4-bay shop. It is tight. And in my infinite wisdom, having 2 more bays 7 miles away from here would just make things so much easier. Um, the why I'm thankful is if I'm still possibly at some point in the future going to look into getting another location. That's not off the table, but it wouldn't be a 2-bay shop. It would probably be 4 bays or bigger. And at the time when I was looking at that, we weren't efficient. We did not have we're not maximizing this location. We didn't have great processes in place. It would have been 2 dumpster fires at 2 different places. And I'm just so happy, so thankful that I didn't go through with it because I wasn't ready at the time.
Okay. All right. So why not just build on to where you have now?
Biggest holdback is we are actually in the floodplains right here. There's a creek that runs right behind our shop. And if we built on, we would probably have to go about 3 feet up. We'd have to fill in 3 feet. So there'd be a transition up into the other area, which is possible. It's feasible. It's just that was a larger setback of more money, more yeah, more issues.
Are you like, would your township be okay with doing that? Like, you just came up with the plan to do it, but if you're in a flood zone, they might not let you build there.
So I have spoke with them I spoke with like 3 separate areas of that. There is the township, and then our township farms out the actual zoning enforcement to LTL. It's a local engineering firm that actually does it for multiple townships. Their buildings a quarter mile down the street. So I know the people that work there. Spoke with LTL, the zoning person in LTL. I spoke with one of their zoning enforcement officers, and I actually also spoke with a township supervisor. Over the course of the last 5 years, I don't remember exactly when, and all of them had said yes, it is possible, but you're going to any new construction is going to have to be to the federal flood zone map regulation, whatever that is. And the biggest part is it would have to, from my understanding, the base would have to be above the flood zone.
Mm, interesting. Okay. All right. I'm just thinking, like, and you just fill in the bottom of the base with concrete, or
Yeah. So I don't exactly know how they would do it. I'm assuming you probably would set a footer on the ground where current, and build up walls to where it's above and then fill in below it and whatever.
Yeah. But here's the fun thing for those that are listening in. Like, if I heard you right, Josiah, that's not necessarily your plan forward, but you looked into it so you could explore your options. And by looking into it, you actually talked with the local government and the code enforcement officers and just learned what the options are so you can kind of plan what's next. Um, and they know you, and they know that you're respectful of the regulations, and you're going to, you're playing along with the rules, kind of a thing. But so I kind of, the number of times where I hear shops, what I'm hearing from them is, well, I tried to expand and I couldn't. And I wonder how often they were proactively involved in the local politics by at least education, rubbing shoulders, getting to know the people prior to that announcement.
Yeah,
And
if it wasn't for the fact that we were in a flood zone and I knew it, I probably wouldn't have talked to him. I would just been like, "Oh yeah, we could probably get a permit,"
mm,
and I wouldn't have thought about it. Knowing that there was a roadblock, a hurdle, made me say, "Wait, I need to. If I'm going to explore this option, I need to know what we're dealing with so I can make plans."
And so, if you're listening to this podcast, you might already know that in October of 2025, we had a panel talking specifically about knowing the local politics, getting involved in your local politics and knowing this. And so I appreciate that you're admitting that because you knew there was a barrier, you actually did some additional research. But I want to encourage every single shop owner out there to get involved and know what their options are and know what they're up against. And uh, you've got to go about that gracefully. Like, you can't, you're not trying to, sometimes you're trying to just fly under the radar. And I guess that can work for a period of time, but I think in the end, it's going to bite you. So, I encourage people to be involved because I think that the local municipalities have more impact on our daily lives than the federal government does. And yet they call these election years in 2025 off years, which that's the wrong frame of mind, right? And so, so I appreciate that you're nodding your head. And if you're curious about what I'm talking about, make sure that you've listened to the episode in the SOP, is what we call it, the Shop Owners Panel, from October of 2025. And I believe, I'll check the calendar. The release date of that episode is October 21st. So check that out. But let's get back to you and your shop. So you did that homework. You've also looked at the other location. You determined that you didn't have the processes in place. Um, who determined that? How did you come to that realization?
So it started out with me just being real with what it meant to have a second location, and you can't. So you're gonna have to have a set. You're gonna have to have a whole new tool set. Your specialty tools that you have at one shop, if it's regularly used, you're gonna have to have two of them because you're not running 7 miles when you need a compression tester, or it's not efficient to do that. You're not running 7 miles to get the coolant flush machine, the AC machine, the all of your expensive stuff, like those service machines, you're going to have at you have to have two of.
Which is why you went back to saying, if I was to do it, it would be at least a 4-bay shop.
It would make more sense to have a better, bigger location that you could actually. And 4 bays is small. I mean, honestly, if I my goal would be bigger than 4 bays, but it would at least be this because this is what I'm used to. It To really maximize on your investments of those tools and equipment, you need more bays to be able to run service through. Otherwise, you have expensive equipment that is underutilized. And yeah,
Would you leave the footprint that you're in now? I mean, you're pulling customers from a little bit of a distance because of the rural nature of the area.
I, I might, yes.
You
So
go on the other side of Reading?
probably there's a few different areas I've looked at. Uh, I would do more demographic research if I've got another location than I did this time, only to see. And we did not do badly when we bought this location. But I realized we could have done a lot worse depending on your demographics of the area, whether they can support the shop that we are aiming to be. Whether we're not pricing ourselves to be the cheapest shop in town, we are pricing ourselves to be a great shop with great service, great warranty, and great care.
Would you pick another rural environment, maybe like northern Chester County, or would you pick a little bit more populated, dense, like I said, Reading?
I'm okay with rural if it has the demographics and population density to support the shop that I'm looking at. And that's a very strategic answer, I should say. It depends what shop I'm looking at. If I'm looking at an 18 bay shop, I probably want that to be in an urban setting where there is a lot of customer base. If I'm looking at a 6 bay shop, you need way fewer vehicles to feed that shop, because at the end of the day, if you have a big shop with big expenses, you have to have the customer base to feed it.
Right,
Otherwise,
right.
you're going to be hurting.
Yep. Uh, all right. And where did you come up with the calculation of 1 hour per customer per ticket for just the? And so I'm sorry that just to specify, we're talking about the customer side of things, right? We're talking about them actually interacting with the customer.
I don't know the exact study. That is what is being told to me by my coach.
Okay.
And so I'm sure he has that study that was done. I don't.
Do you? Is that become a goal? Are you trying to track the time to make sure that that kind of time is being invested?
That is an interesting side of it. I don't track that, but I should. So I'm going to have to figure out if there's a way to track that, because that is a great metric to learn. Know, because here's the reality: the if you are tracking your metrics, your KPIs, and you're seeing, let's just say ARO, if that's what you're tracking. I track hours per RO. It's a slightly different way of tracking that. If you're seeing that drop and you look back and you say, oh, my time with the customer is also dropping, it would give you an area to focus on to bring it back, is what I'm thinking.
It wouldn't. It would. I imagine there are apps out there that are just time tracking apps that you'd be able to, uh, you wouldn't necessarily need to actually log the customer. I don't know of a shop where a shop management system that it has that feature.
I don't know.
Maybe
It would be. I want to work a little more with. We use voice over IP. We do recall recording, and we use a system service called Inbound. It's David. Forget his last name. They're located in the Midwest. It's great customer service. Honestly, couldn't recommend them higher. They focus mainly on the automotive sector of voice over IP.
And I'm sorry, the name of the business?
Inbound.
Inbound. Okay.
And I they aren't they're not the cheapest service, but they're not that expensive. I'm going to say with everything that I have with call recording, they do call analyzation. So they run their calls through they're using AI at this point to analyze the calls and see if it's hitting the metrics that we set up, whether the advisors are asking the questions we want them to ask in that. And it just rates the calls and helps you, because a large part of call recording is listen to that call, make sure your advisors are saying what you're telling them to say, and saying it in a way you want them to portray it. But the hard part of that, if I'm going to be honest, is spending the time to sit down and listen to them, because you might listen to 3 great calls and be like, oh, it's all great, but you missed the 2 terrible calls right after that. This just ranks it and says, hey, here's 3 great calls, here's 3 bad calls. And you can go listen to them all, listen to those, and coach off of that. It saves me time. But it's about $250 a month for that. And that is 4 separate lines. So it's not, I say 4 separate users, not really 4 separate, it's kind of lines, not really.
Okay. And it was call inbound or inbound?
Just inbound.
Just inbound. Okay. All right.
You do have to do a little bit of searching for it, but I would do I think if you Googled inbound voice over IP, it should show up. They are, let's see here.
I'll have to check them out, and that might be worth checking out. So, all right. So let's skip ahead and and just touch on other areas. Um, any of the other mechanics that were at the part of the old crew before you bought it, are they still on?
I'm going to say real quick, callinbound.com is
Okay,
callinbound.com.
got it. All right.
So yes, as far as the crew, when we started there, it was a complete turnover. It was only two owners, and the one owner quit. The other owner stayed on, and then
Okay.
when he left, there's nobody here from previous.
Okay. All right. So it's all new, or it is now anyway. Okay.
Right. Sorry, you said staff, right? Not customers, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Yes.
Sorry, I realized I was half listening, and I may have misheard.
Right, because you were trying to Google search the URL so we could give the props to that the VoIP company. So no, that's fine. All right. So and I do that too. I'm guilty. Like you get distracted. It goes back to that ADHD thing, right? Like I got to go figure this out. I got to go. All right. So all right, this has been good. So let's talk a little bit about how the relationship of your customers has changed. Let's talk about the relationship that you have with your customers as it is now. If I do a search for auto repair near me and I find your shop and I give you a call, walk me through what that feels like.
The goal, I'm not going to say it always is this way, but the goal is that when you call here, you're met with a cheerful voice saying, "Hey, how can we help you?" We explain who we are. We talk to you. You say, "Hey, I'm Brad. I'm new to the area and I'm looking for a shop." And that's like, "Hey, glad you chose us, Brad. Since you're new, I just would love to walk through a little bit of who we are and get some information on you. Do you have time to have a conversation?" And most times, if you're new and you're calling a shop for the first time, you actually set aside 10, 15, 20 minutes for that process. So that is the best time to ask that conversation.
Oh, really? That's that first time you've got feedback on. I feel like most shops go right to scheduling the appointment.
Yeah,
you have not mentioned that. It's been 30 seconds in this conversation, right? And in this new conversation with this new customer, new caller, and you have not tried to book a time.
It all
or you
depends.
haven't even asked them what's wrong with their vehicle.
It all depends on the customer's focus. So if you called me and you said, "Hey, I got a vehicle broke down. How soon can you fix it?" I would actually focus on how soon you can fix it and then transition the conversation. If you're just saying, "Hey, I'm looking for a shop," I would. It depends a little bit on what you are.
Sure, it does. Okay, got it.
Because at the end of the day, I want to let you know. So if you're focused on let me fix your car, you don't want to hear about me. You want to know if I can take care of you.
And this goes back to the training of the front staff to understand that they're in a little bit of a hospitality type phase in that they need to have their ears on, or a salesman like phase where they need to have their listening ears on and respond to the needs of that particular caller. Be responsive to. Here are the things that we want to touch on, but listen to what they're saying and start there.
And it's a little bit tongue in cheek, but the saying goes, "We're in the relationship business that fixes cars." So yeah, it's all about, it is hospitality and sales. Sales is, I while I focus on sales in training, just how to present stuff, I don't make that the biggest focus because I don't want that to be like, to me, if you're only focused on the sale, you're focused on the transaction, and that cheapens the whole overall experience.
So your service advisors are not on commission?
Slight. I'm not going to say
Okay.
100% no, but it's not directly commission. It's more on performance. So there's a few ways that their direct performance affects it. Obviously, you want that, but it's not like, hey, if I sell this $300 service, I'm going to get $40 in my pocket. It's if I do well with over the course of all of these clients and I hit these targets, I'm going to do well. And how do you do well? Well, how do you win? Well, winning is, again, it's all comes back to, if you set up the parameters for winning with help the customer win, because at the end of the day, I want it to be a win for you, for the client. I want it to be a win for the employee, and I want it to be a win for the business in any transaction, in any deal. So that means I will turn away work that is super unpleasant to do, even though it might it might pay well. If my employees are going to hate it, I'll turn that work away. Um, Look, I'll turn away the old rusty trucks because nobody wants to work them, and we're just not that shop at that point. Um, that type of thing. And the second thing is, so if you focus on having it be a win for the customer, in the end, it will be a win for you and will win for the company, as long as you control what you, as long as you have boundaries in place, as what a win for the customer looks like.
Sure.
Again,
Sure.
if you're
not giving away services, you still have to, at the end of the day, you still got to put bread on the table for not just you, but all the families of the people that are at the shop. So 100%. So that makes perfect sense to me. And so you lost some customers in the process of kind of evolving your relationship with your customers and how you're doing the DVIs and those types of things. I guess where I'm going is I'm trying to get a picture of how the current customer feels or how they can expect to feel by working with you.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's very important to me that they understand our process, because again, going back to that DBI I mentioned earlier, if it's not presented to them in why it matters to the customer, it often comes across as it's just a sales goal. It's just a sales gimmick. They want to sell, sell, sell. And so taking that time to explain it early on before it comes down to presenting, I want that explained either on your first visit, first call, or when you're handing the keys over. So that way, when you get that text call, the explanation, hey, here's the estimate, and there are, multiple services on there, you're not immediately thinking, oh, they want to charge me $3,000. When in reality, I'm saying, hey, it's going to be $600 to do the repairs to get your car through inspection. Here's some safety things coming up. That's going to be an additional $800. And then here's a bunch of delayed maintenance work that if we want to get it back on schedule, it's going to add up to X. Because oftentimes I find new customers, depending on shops, don't tend to focus on maintenance. And so new customers, they come in, there tends to be a larger amount of deferred maintenance work. And that, to me, I can easily schedule you to your budget, your budgeting constraints, and we can get it back whenever in the future to get your car caught up. It's not something I don't want to hit you with all that today. I want you to know about it and make a plan.
Yeah, right. And here's what's most important, and here's the second most important, and here's the third most, go on and so on and so on.
I mean, we take really good care on setting up our estimates even. So when you see estimates, it's the top job is the most important, and we rank it in order of importance. So that way, as you're looking across it, the scariest stuff is at the top, and it keeps dropping down, down, down. And that way too, as you, Brad, would keep coming back here and we explain that to you, you can get to the point where you're like, hey, I don't even need you to call me. I'm comfortable with your process. Send me that link, and I'm going to just start. Because you did a good job of presenting it in the estimate, I can make an educated decision. I want to do the first 3 services. And
well, it sounds like new customers need 90 minutes per ticket, and older customers who've been there, the longer they've been with you, that number keeps going down and down and down until it gets to maybe even 30 minutes. So now, because you said an hour per, right? That's on average. I got to tell you, if there's a way for you to track that, that would be an interesting data point to look at on conversions as well as just overall and just understanding the shop. I'd be fascinated. I'm a numbers guy, right? And so, I'm a geek numbers guy. When my son was born, he didn't sleep much, and so in the first 4 years of his life, I know that I was up 70% of the nights. And that 40% of those were multiple times for hours each time. And so I know this, right? And so it's amazing how that ages you. I remember sitting around before I got married, looking around my friends who I went to school with, and I'm like, man, they don't look so hot. They've really aged. I'm glad I'm doing this well. And then 5 years of having a boy, I looked around the room again at them, and I'm like, wow, I caught up. So it's not about your actual age; it's about how many years you've had children, and so that's what it comes down to. I find it.
That's fair. That interesting side note. I was just last night, we were sitting here at the shop chatting after
Yeah.
hours, and I was looking through old pictures that just came up, and I showed a picture of. So it's actually yesterday was my one son's birthday, and Sunday will be my other son's birthday. So I was looking at a picture when my almost 5-year-old was born, and I said, "Oh, hey, here's a picture." And my advisor's like, "Wow, you really aged." And I was like, "Yeah, I did." And well, I guess 5 years of children probably does age you, but
Yeah, well, and I don't have any data points to know how many or how business ownership and
that's
that business marriage ages you, but I imagine it also does. But I think the children are the bigger component.
we've
Are your employees your children? I mean, no, I'm saying if the partnership is a marriage,
that's fair. And that's fair. You have to decide who has to discipline them. And to be fair, like there's times where Bernal and I talk, and Bernal has the conversation. There's times I have the conversation when it comes down to having, because let's be honest, you're always going to have at some point have disciplining conversations with employees.
right?
And
right.
So,
but also positive conversations.
That's way more positive. Positive feedback is way more important than negative feedback.
Good.
You really, really, really should be focusing on giving your employees at least one positive feedback per day, in my opinion.
Nice.
I
like that.
Just so they know that you are seeing them work for you. And even if my coach would tell the story, there was one day he was like, "Wow, what am I going to compliment this guy?" Because he had messed the day up. He had completely just, it was one of those days. And he said,
"It's really impressive that you haven't quit yet."
He said, "Thank you for coming into work today."
That was it. That's all he got.
That's all he could think of.
Oh, geez. So, all right. So now back to schooling.
Yes.
Are you homeschooling your work children?
Yeah. Some I ship them off to some though. It's a mixture.
Some boarding schools, but for the most part, it's on the job training.
On the job training, but we do. I believe heavily in going to training events. Actually, one coming up here in November that's local to us is Super Saturday. That's in Trevose, PA. I'm not sure if you know Super Saturday there, Brad, but it's through MAACA.
Okay.
The Mid-Atlantic Auto Care Association. It's a great event. If you're anywhere on the Eastern Seaboard, get there.
So there are people that are attending this event that are all the way from the Carolinas and Florida, or is it just the Mid-Atlantic region?
It's all over. Now, largely it's the Mid-Atlantic. It's PA, New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland people. Okay. But yes, people.
And the name of the organization that puts it on every November is
MAACA, Mid-Atlantic Auto Care Association. Okay. And it's called Super Saturday.
Okay.
They merged with AASPPA. So the AASP larger organization dissolved, and the PA chapter merged with NACO. And now they also are overseeing tools, which happens every spring every May in Lancaster. Now it's going to be in Lancaster City every spring.
Okay.
Both great events.
But tell me about the November event.
They have a little bit on Thursday. They have full day training Friday, full day training Saturday. They have management training. They have technical training. If you're a shop that, honestly, shut the shop, take your team, is my opinion.
Well, why are you open on Saturdays?
Well, I'm saying even Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Oh, right. I'm sorry. Yes.
So, take Friday and Saturday. The hard part about that's hard to get most people to realize is these events, the biggest benefit for you as overall as a business is your employees start to realize there is a lot of other shops out there that do things well. And most people have egos. and most people want to be better, be either the best or be great.
Mm-hmm.
And so you get them around other people that are saying, "Hey, we do it this way," and this is they start realizing, "Hey, they start really putting effort back into it." It fires them
Okay.
up. It keeps you up with the industry too. There's so many things changing. You have to keep learning new ways.
Right. Right. And for those who are checking that out, who are listening on the East Coast, that is midatlanticaca.org, I believe.
That's
It is. And so check that out. And I don't know if when you're listening to this, it might be too late for you to get involved in that one, but maybe next year in 2026. And you said they have another event called Tools in Lancaster City in the spring. Okay. All right. Well, good. All right. So you're a part of a coach. You're a part of associations. You're constantly plugged in. You're trying to get your team, especially not especially, but you have an emphasis on the front staff because they're the ones that interface with the customer, and it's the entire game, right? I mean, you can have the best technicians in the world if you don't have someone to communicate how well they're doing and why they're doing it, you're just going to have pissed off customers. That's the bottom line. And so what's next for, I mean, I know that we've talked about maybe buying another location, but you're thankful that didn't go through. We talked about expanding. None of those things were actually on the plate for 2026 now, but what is on your plate for 2026?
So the second location definitely is closer than I had first initially thought this year. I had the both blessing and unfortunate experience of having my son go through a liver transplant. So
Ouch.
we spent my family, because it happened in Pittsburgh and they require you to be close to that hospital. That's for those that don't know, that's a 4.5 hour drive from where I currently am. They require you to stay close.
You're driving pretty efficiently.
We get
thought it was
right
like
on
a fairly-
Turnpike and
All right.
head right out. It is very
Go ahead.
for how far away it is a very efficient drive. Yes.
Okay.
We
Go ahead.
can average about 70. Well, if you follow speed limit, 70 mile an hour.
Listen, Easy Pass knows how fast you were going.
Yes.
So go ahead. Anyway, go ahead.
So because we had to stay close by, it happened over the summer. We moved everybody out to an apartment for 2 months. And so I spent 2 months where I was in the shop one day in those 2 months. I'd come back to get some stuff from our house. So I spent 4 hours in the shop. Other than that, I had to do everything remotely. And I quickly realized that I cannot do any tickets or any of that stuff remotely because there was a breakdown of communication. And while I wanted to do that because I felt like I was helping, it was hindering the shop. And July, which was the first full month I was gone, was at that time our best month to date as a business. And that told me that my day-to-day work in the business is not necessary. I could work on the business. I could spend the time. I spent my time.
Nothing like a self-esteem booster. The shop did best when you weren't there.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. But it was, yes, it reassured me because I had spent a lot of time. I knew this was coming up. So I had spent a lot of time on focusing on getting the shop to run without me. And it's like,
okay,
I did my job. And it works better without me. So I'm stepping back.
Go away.
And that has allowed me to realize that as long as, obviously, if we're short staffed, I'm jumping back in and helping. But as long as we're fully staffed, I do not work in the shop. I don't deal with customers unless I'm taking customers back. I'm an auxiliary staff throughout the day. I'm not a primary staff throughout.
Yeah, you're overhead. You're middle management at best. No, so and they're the ones that first go, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, all right. No, seriously though, that is absolutely pat yourself on the back, and it's largely due to the processes, like you said, you've been working towards being able to, and you can't do that unless you do have those processes in place, right? And so I come across a lot of shop owners who they're constantly filling in the gaps everywhere, and I don't know that they could take an extended weekend without the shop kind of falling apart. And I'm overstating that because 2 of the 3 days on an extended weekend, they're closed anyway. But but anyway, it's a real issue, right? And so that's why the November panel that we're doing is actually going to be with a couple of people who are somewhere along that process. And the goal isn't to say, here's how you do processes, because that's too big of a single topic for a podcast. We would be there for 27 hours, right? Or more. No. The goal is, where do we start? If you don't have any processes in place, or you've dabbled with this and you're like, it's daunting. Like, you're talking about a lot of different things that are happening at the shop. Where do you start? And that's what we're going to be talking about in the SOP for November 2025. That shop owners panel is going to be talking about, where do I begin this journey of documenting processes? Because sometimes it's about momentum. It's about just getting started.
Amen.
In that.
And we overcomplicate it. I think it's easy.
Probably.
I think it's easier than you realize. And listen to the full panel. My advice is, start with whatever pissed you off today.
Okay. Well, we'll see what the panel has to say about that. I might actually bring that up. That's nice. I like it. Where do you have these processes in place? Is it a Google document, a Word document? Is it on a back of a business card inside your wallet?
Yes. So it is not as organized as it should be. There is a good bit of it that is verbal, and I need to get that written. There is plenty of written documents. Like, as of right now, it's a file folder in the computer with a bunch of Word docs. And my goal is to organize that into an actual booklet, so we can flip through it, leaf through it, upgrade, update it. Some of it's on Google Docs, some of it's on.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so just to be full transparency here, this is being recorded before that November panel. But I imagine that's going to be discussed in the November panel. So Josiah, please also listen to that and maybe give me feedback on your thoughts afterwards. But this has been fun. I've actually really enjoyed the conversation. Is there anything that we should have talked about that we haven't talked about?
I don't know that there is. The only thing I can say, and this is just another, because you started out saying that it's Origin and Impact series, and so impact. We have an impact on our local community, and focus on that. As a business owner, understand that your business changes lives. Your business is the person who is ensuring the safety of the lives of the people that have their cars worked on, and be a positive influence there. Go out into the community, help them to see, like, get them to know you, help educate the people around you what car repairs are, why it matters to them, and be a positive influence there. That's my impact. That's how I impact.
That's great. That's great. And so, is it a matter of just teaching them, or are you going out into the community and like supporting the fire volunteers and the local schools? What are you doing in those areas?
So some of it is as simple as supporting your local school sports team, just giving them money, talking to them, and then showing up, being there to like, it's one thing to, from a marketing standpoint, to have your banner on the local sports field. It's another thing to show up there in person wearing some branded clothes and being a positive face, just talking to people, not from a sales perspective, just from a, hey, learn to know me perspective. There's a program that I'm working on at our local school. It's called Watchdogs. It's dads that go into the school and just are helping out the school.
Right.
That's,
I think the Watchdogs, like, it's an acronym, right?
It is Dads of Great Students.
Okay.
And that is a national organization.
Okay.
But,
yep.
So that's another way I give back. You got to
be credentialed to be around young children to do that. You got to get your certifications.
Yes. So that's, I'm in the finalizing process of that. I haven't actually gotten to go in yet, but I've just found out about it. So,
okay.
Nice.
My son told me he'd be embarrassed if I was a watchdog dad. So that was taken off my list.
That's
so.
I'm sorry.
I think it's typical for a fifth grader.
That is. I've taught a few classes of just like the at the high school they have people come in and explain their careers, and every
Mm.
I don't know if it's every Wednesday, but I've done that several times, just explaining automotive and get reaching out, uh, and then yeah, just helping out. Done it what
I'm sorry. Right now, there's a current commercial. I want to say it's a Capital One commercial. Maybe it's not. If it's not, then I really feel bad for that brand. But for the brand that's actually doing it. But they do a scene where they're doing a school career day. They've got like an astronaut.
yes,
They've got
yes.
Derek Jeters from the Yankees, and they've got the Capital One guy. I think it's
I'm
Capital.
pretty sure it's Capital One. I do
Okay, yeah.
that's what I remember.
And everybody wants to know about the Capital One guy's experience. And so, so my question to you is, when you go in there and have those career days, were you up against Capital One guy, or like, was there?
Well, it was only me in the room, so
Oh, so you were
I
set.
was
That's
set.
the way.
Absolutely. uh, I it varies, the level of interest varies on why the student's there, but yeah,
Okay.
it's just another face in the community.
So you're not talking to people in shop class necessarily. It's across the board.
Yeah, it's a yeah, I forget exactly what they call it, like career day, but not really career day. It's a short segment at the end of it's like the last period. Well, actually, you can pick the period. The students come into the library and sit for you to have your presentation and
Okay.
ask questions and discuss things.
Okay. All right. I'm just like, yeah, my mind's racing. Like, how do you make that entertaining for someone with kids who have even less attention span than someone with ADHD, right? Like, they actually also have that, but
Thankfully it's high school kids, so they tend to have a little bit more attention span than, but
okay.
a little bit more. And
Okay.
some obviously some of the high school kids, they're just coming in there to get out of whatever period they would have been going to anyway.
Right.
And so they're more there. They're just happy to be there and not having to go to whatever other class.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. No, I'm picturing like videos of like, here's what happens if you don't pay attention to this industry, and just like have all sorts of car crashes, or
Actually,
wheels falling off cars, or.
I thought of that because I did mine pretty ad hoc the times that I did it. I was like, I need to get a presentation because they would allow you to use a projector and a red screen.
Okay.
And it's like, I should just have something. And yeah, just to make it more interesting.
Get their attention.
Yeah.
Reel them in, right? So anyway, all right, so good. So I love that we get your story, and we've got your impact on not just your team, right? Because they're your kids, but the impact on your community, and you're encouraging all other shops to do the same. In that, get involved. It helps for marketing, of course, but I mean, as small business owners, right? As shop owners, we are the backbone. Shop owners and small business owners are the backbone of the U.S. economy, in my opinion. And let's be sturdy. Let's go out and be a part of all the other pieces. Yeah. So good. All right. Well, thank you again for joining us. This has been a great conversation. It's been another long one, I guess, but that's okay. I enjoyed it, and I hope you also enjoyed hearing from Josiah. And Josiah, thank you for taking the time.
Absolutely. Thank you.
You're absolutely welcome. Glad to have you. And so, guys, if you haven't gotten the idea yet, you should actually like and subscribe to this podcast so that you can hear more of these types of stories. But feel free to actually also like this one, because it was a particularly good one, I think. So nonetheless, I'm looking forward to interacting with you. If you've got a story to share on how your origin story or how you're impacting your community, I'd be happy to hear from you. Just hop out I'll give you a shortcut address. It's addi.me/join panel. All right. So that's addi.me/join panel. And then let me know whether or not, give me a call. Let's talk. Let's see if we can get you on here and share your story. So, very, very good. Thanks for listening. Subscribe, like, and share with other auto repair shop owners. Thank you so much.